Okay folks, so today we're going to try to film a tutorial for the zombie game that we got started with, and let's get right to it. So I've got our Unreal Engine launched and I'm looking at the project browser. We're going to go to games and start with a third-person template. I would recommend leaving on starter content because you never know if we're going to need it, but leave ray tracing unchecked unless you're doing this on a very powerful computer. Actually, I am right now. I could check that, but I'm not going to, just so that we can all be doing the same thing. And I'm going to call this Zombie Toot. Zombie Toot. It's funny, so while this builds, yesterday after we got out of class, the system that we had built that was not working just spontaneously started to work, and I have no explanation for that or what was hanging it up. However, I am very relieved that at least one student was there to witness it. Max stayed after class, and we were just examining the blueprint to see what could have been wrong, and at one point it just started working, and I really have no explanation for why that might have been, but it happens to have been the case. So, like I said before, I'm also going to package up a version of this for you that will contain the assets that you need, at least for now. But we're going to get just a couple of things from the marketplace and add them to this project. And I'll make these available to you, of course. If you were to want to buy these yourself, they are rather cheap. So if I went to the marketplace and I search for zombie, and I go and filter by max price $10, the assets that I'm going to use are, first of all, this mocap zombie starter mocap pack. I think that's the animation pack that we're going to need the most. And also on the next page is, I think it's on page 2, it's this zombie. Okay, I got this for $5.99, or maybe even for free 1 month, and this is also $4.99. So they're not terribly expensive, and they are already in my library. Okay, so I can go into my library and find those assets and add them to the project. So let me just search my vault for zombie, and we're going to get this one, and this is just basically the mesh that we're going to use for our zombie. So we'll add that to the project, and that's called Zombie Toot. Toot for tutorial. And the zombie starter mocap pack, add that to the project. And today we're just going to focus on getting our character up and running and doing its AI thing, patrolling, chasing, and all of that sort of stuff. Okay, so now I can either close or minimize the Epic Launcher. And sometimes if your editor looks like this, look at the lower portion of your screen. If it has an extra content browser open, that would be helpful if you could drag it to another monitor. I don't find it helpful though, so I tend to close that, and then here in my main window just hit Control or Command Spacebar to bring up the content browser. And by the way, you can do that at will. Okay, just toggle that. Or you can do Dock and Layout, which I prefer, and that way I have access to all my stuff. And if I go back to our root content directory, also know that if you hold down Control or Command and you use your mouse wheel, you can resize these, okay? If you need to see a lot of folders all at the same time. It's also helpful to have the Place Actors panel showing here. That's in the Window menu, and you're going to look for Place Actors and have that just like that. I find this is the most helpful layout for me. And I suppose you can do it whatever works out for you. So the first thing I want to do is find out which one of these folders. It would be nice if they labeled them in such a way that I knew which was which, because they didn't have these names. One of these is the animations and the other one is the mesh. So let's figure out which one is which. Okay, this is the mesh, and I'm glad that I came here first, because what I want to do is I want to create an IK rig for this. So I'm going to go ahead and in this directory, I'll make a new folder. Excuse me, I'm struggling with my mouse here. New folder, and I'll call it rigs. And double click, right click, and we're going to hover over animation, go down to IK rig, and select that option right there, IK rig. And I'm going to call this IK underscore zombie. Okay? In our case, we'll use an actual zombie mesh for this. So we're going to double click to open that. And we want our preview skeleton here. So what we have to do is we have to locate, I could dock this if I wanted to, but the preview skeletal mesh is going to be the one that came with this pack. So if we go to the mesh and select it, I can then go right back to that tab and use the Use Selected Asset from Content Browser button to pop that in there. And it's going to start really zoomed in, so just frame that up however you like. And we're going to make a quick IK rig for this. Let's start by adding a full body IK solver. And we're going to go add new solver and full body IK. And remember, we're going to click on the root bone, right click, and say set root bone on selected solver. Don't confuse that with the retargeting root. That's the pelvis, and that's different. So we have to do that to get our full body IK working. Now, let's start with the pelvis. Right click, and we're going to set that as the retarget root. Okay, so we'll start there. And now we can start making our IK chains. So I'll select spine 1 through 3, right click, add new retarget chain. It recognizes automatically that that's the spine, so we'll add that as a chain. I do the clavicles separately, so this is the left clavicle. New retarget chain. I have to rename that. Some people start their arms at the clavicle, but the IK rigs for the sample mannequins that come in Unreal Engine 5, they have the clavicles as separate IK chains just on their own. So I try to follow that as closely as I can. So this will be left clavicle. Just add chain that time. And now we'll do the left arm that starts with upper arm left and ends at the hand. Okay, so I shift click like that. We'll do new retarget chain, but this time I'm going to say add chain and goal. And that will put a IK goal on the end of that hand. I don't think it's necessary for us to do the fingers right now. You've seen me do those before, and frankly, this the animations that are going to be used with this model, they're not going to really have much to do with the fingers. So I'm going to skip those. They're not important to the animations that we're going to use. So here's the right clavicle. So we'll make a new retarget chain, and I will call that right clavicle. Be careful with your spelling. Add chain. And we'll do the right arm, which are these 3 bones. And we'll do, because it ends with the hand, right? So we're going to do the same thing that we did with the left hand. And add chain and goal, and then you'll get another IK goal like we did for the left arm. Okay, and there it is. And let's keep going. That's more fingers for the other hand. Here's the neck bone and head together. We'll right click, and that's going to be a new retarget chain, just called head. Does not need an IK goal for that, not for our purposes. Add chain. And for the feet, oh, we have to do the legs, excuse me. Now remember, the legs start at the thigh, but we have to skip the twist bone. So I'm going to do this by holding down Control or Command and selecting from that bone with the calf, skip the twist bone, select the foot, and then the ball of the foot. Okay, so we've excluded that one twist bone because that's not needed or wanted. Right click on that, new retarget chain, and we're going to include an IK goal for the feet as well. And we're going to do the same thing for the other leg. Thigh right, Holding down control, calf right, skip the twist bone, foot right, ball right, right click, new retarget chain with a goal. Okay. And we can see these accumulating here if we click on the IK retargeting tab. Next, well, let's see. I think that's basically all we need. Let me just take a little inventory here. There's the spine, left clavicle, left arm, left leg, right leg. Doesn't matter what order these are in, and I think that looks good. So we will click Save on that IK rig. So temporarily, what I would like to do is look at the animations that came in this other folder here. Okay, there is a demo. Let's see, there is, what do we have here? There's just the plain old mannequin, all right? And they don't have an actual zombie mesh. But if we want to transfer animations from this pack onto our zombie mesh, this is going to require an IK rig of its own. So let's back out and we'll make another folder here, and we're going to basically repeat the process. Rigs. And also take note of the path for that. So if we go into character mesh, this is, note the path. It is /game/zombie_01 character mesh. So we have to remember, because there's other SK mannequins in this world right now, we want to make sure that we're using the right one for the IK rig. So let's back out until we see our rigs folder again, and we're going to make another IK rig. Right click, animation, IK rig, like that. And we're going to call this, let's say, zombie, or excuse me, IK underscore zombie mocap. And that's descriptive enough for me to keep track of what it's supposed to be. So we'll open that up, and now for our preview mesh, just so that we don't mess up, it's not going to be this guy, all right? We can even close that tab. What we can do is, with that still docked, we haven't populated this field yet, but just so that we can be sure, let's back up a level, go into the character folder, and get that mesh. Highlight that mesh, go back into the retargeter, or into the IK rig, excuse me, and again use selected asset from content browser. Now I could select it from here. If I did select it from here, I would want to make sure that I take note of the path for anything that might be SK mannequin. Like for example, I can see this is the wrong one. This is the right one because I took note of the path and the path matches. But remember, I still have that selected here in my content browser, so all I have to do is use this little button and I can pop it in there, and therefore I'm sure that it is correct. So just as we did before, we'll just frame it up so that we can see it, and we'll add a new full body IK, and we'll set the root bone as set root bone on selected solver. Now the pelvis is going to be set as our retarget root, so that's going to be like that, set retarget root, and this is going to be identical to what we did before. So we're going to add the spine, add chain. Here's our left clavicle. Make sure your spelling is consistent. That helps them to map to one another accurately. Add chain. Upper arm, left through hand left. New retarget chain. This time I'm going to add the chain and the goal. And skip all the fingers for now. We'll do the right clavicle. If I weren't trying to do this quickly, I might include the fingers, because you never know if you're going to need them for something later. But for now, this will do. So we're going to add that right clavicle as its own chain. Now upper arm right through hand right. We'll add a new retarget chain and include the IK goal. So add chain and goal. See, once you do this a few times, it really doesn't take very long. Skipping the fingers. The neck and head together, new retarget chain. That's going to be called head, add chain. This is the leg where we have to skip this, the left leg that starts at the thigh. Okay, we're going to skip the twist bone, so hold down Control and select these bones. Right click, new chain with goal for the left leg. And then do the same thing for the right leg. Hold down Control so that we can avoid the twist bone. Go all the way down to ball. And new retarget chain. And that's going to be the right leg. Assign chain and goal. And I think that's done as well. Okay. So we've got that. And I think that we can start to proceed from here. Now in Zombie 01, let's see. There are many animations, and if I go into the animation folder, take note that there are what are called root motion animations and in-place animations. By default, Unreal Engine typically uses in-place animations. So let's examine what we've got inside this folder. We can start previewing these animations just by double-clicking any one of them. Here's an idle. If I double-click the next one, this is one type of attack. Spazzing out. Okay, start to get an idea. I'm probably going to end up retargeting all of these to our main zombie character, because that's awesome. Let's see. Idle 2. Zombie on fire. That'll be fun to kill the zombie with eventually. Zombie reach. There's all kinds of them. Okay. Stand to attack. All kinds. Okay. So we don't need anything really but this one very cheap pack. Okay. So I like most of these. So we can close out of that, and we're going to go, we can close out of that as well, and go back to Zombie 01, rigs. And now that we've got matching IK rigs for both, we're going to make a retargeter for the animations in this animation pack. So, oops, my monitor just went to sleep, so give it 1 second and it'll come back. That happens for some reason occasionally. My monitor decides to go to sleep, even though I told it not to go to sleep. All right, so right click, and I'm going to go to animation again. Okay, so you know where we are. Okay, content. This is the folder that has the zombie character that I'm going to be creating and its skeletal mesh. We made an IK rig for that. This is the animation folder. It comes in as zombie_01. I made this rigs folder. We made a matching IK rig, and now we're going to make an IK retargeter. So up to animation, down to IK rig again, but this time we're going to make an IK retargeter, and I'm going to call it RTG_zombie mocap. Okay? In case we want to bring in other packs with other animations, this is pretty descriptive according to which one this is. So I like that. So we'll open that up, and it says select source IK rig to copy animation from. It's right here, IK zombie mocap. So that's the one. And where do I want to copy the animation to? I want to put that on the IK rig that I made for the zombie earlier, which is in that other folder. So that's the IK rig that I made first. Neither of these, but this one, okay? So now we've got this, and I can go ahead and dock this tab just so we can see it in full screen mode. You can see that the two meshes are superimposed right now. So what we'll do is we'll take the target mesh offset right here, and we'll just move it to the right, usually about 150 units will do, okay? And oops, okay, let me just frame this up so I can see them pretty well. They are using, I think, pretty much identical skeletons. So when we go to auto map chains, if you think that there might be differences, like map all fuzzy works, and it does its best. Map all exact, I think, is probably safe in this case, but just just in case that there's any subtle differences between the skeletons, I like to use map all fuzzy, and I can change my mind later, okay, if I need to. Now at this point, what we can do is we can go to our asset browser, and I like to filter this, okay? So that little funnel looking icon is add an asset filter, and if I click on that and hover over animation, I want to filter just the animation sequences and ignore everything else that might be in that folder. So we can start previewing these to see how well they match. So let's see. Right now they're doing okay. If you see like an animation and you're concerned that something doesn't look right, one thing that you can do is go from your asset browser. This does look all right, but sometimes it helps if you go back to your chain mapping, and I'm looking at the right arm here, okay? What I could do is I could select the right arm and turn up the blend to source, and sometimes if it looks like it's not translating properly, messing with this value for any of these, especially if they have IK goals, it can be very, very helpful. Right now, I think that they have identical skeletons, so I don't really anticipate any problems. But I'm still going to look at a few more. They look pretty good to me. Okay. All right, so I don't think I'm going to be all that terribly worried because these are translating one-to-one very, very nicely. So I'll leave that just the way it is for the moment, and I'm going to make a recipient folder for this. I'm going to go back into my character, my zombie directory here, and there's an existing animations folder. Let's open that up. These are just some locomotion animations that we're actually not going to use, most likely not going to use. But I'll right click here, and I'm going to make another folder, new folder called retargeted. And to stay organized inside of there, I'll make another folder called from zombie mocap. Okay, so I know where they're from. If I get animations from other sources, I'll make other folders. Okay, so these are in animations retargeted from zombie mocap. Also in this animations folder, I think I'm going to anticipate the need for this as well. I'll make another folder that won't have anything in it yet, but I'll be very descript anim BP, because ultimately this is going to have an animation blueprint. Okay, and that's going to be something that we're going to retarget as well. So we can probably do that now if this mocap pack came with an animation blueprint. So let's see if it in fact did. Oh, actually, you know what? I think I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to take all of these mocap animations and retarget those to, we'll make more than one retargeter for this. So let's save that one. And I'm going to retarget this, and you'll see why in a moment. I'm going to retarget this to Manny also. So we're going to go animation. We'll do another one. IK retargeter. And this one is going to be RTG underscore to Manny. Okay, RTG to Manny. And we're going to open that up. And what we want to copy animation from is the mocap rig that we made. And what we want to copy the animations to is going to be, let's just make sure, IK mannequin that is in this directory, game characters mannequins rigs. Okay, so now this is going to use the UE5 skeleton, but we're going to use that as the basis for creating a new character blueprint of our own. So let's move the target mesh offset a little bit, and we're going to auto map chains, map all fuzzy for this, because there are more bones in this skeleton than there are in the UE4 skeleton. But it should still translate pretty well. Okay, so let's go to the asset browser and do that same filter, animation sequences. And let's just see how they look. Okay, so this is an attack montage, and it's not bad. Let's go to chain mapping, and let's play with those blend to source parameters. Let's start with the left arm and set blend to source to 1. And then we're going to go to the right arm and do the same thing. Blend to source to 1. And that seems a little bit better. Let's see about the legs. Okay, so let's go to our left leg. And where's my left leg? Right there. Do blend to source. Okay. That looks better on the left leg, but you see this distortion on the right leg, so I think that we'd be better off doing blend to source on the right leg. Set that to 1. Well, did that help it? Let me see. Left leg. Okay, so let's go back to auto map chains. Let's try map all fuzzy again. Nope, that didn't work. So let's do map all exact. That did make a difference. So we're no longer getting that distortion on the leg. And let's also just check our blend to source values again and see if that improves the situation or makes it worse. So the right leg and the left leg are both set to, blend to source is set to 1 on both of them. So let's check some of these other animations now. Actually, let's look at the clavicles too. I don't think actually that if you don't have a goal, you might not be able to do blend to source, but frankly I don't remember. So let me see. Yeah, it goes ghosted. So I would have had to have put an IK goal on that if I wanted to be able to manipulate it. But I really am not that concerned. I think it looks pretty good, honestly. Okay, so go back to the asset browser. Remember, we filtered this, so, or I thought we did anyway, to just show animation sequences. And I think that we've auditioned enough of them to have confidence that these are probably going to be okay. So I'm going to select all of them. And we're going to go export selected animations. Now it wants to know where to put them. I want them to be in the retargeted directory that I made in this folder. So we'll twirl that down, go to animations, retargeted from zombie mocap. Okay, that's where I want those to end up. And excuse me, I beg your pardon. That is incorrect. We are retargeting this to Manny. So cancel what I just said. I lost my train of thought. Okay, so we've got to stay mentally organized here. I forgot what I was doing. I'm retargeting this to the Manny. So we're going to make these animations compatible with the default character, in other words. So that is located here in characters, mannequins, animations, Manny. Now what I can do here is I can right-click that and make a new folder called retargeted. And I can make another folder, a subfolder, called from zombie mocap. Okay? In case I end up importing other animations from other sources. But that's where I want them to go. So now I'll hit export. And this will take a little while. Probably take longer on your computer. And we have a lot of them, okay? And we probably don't need most of these, but nevertheless, I'm going to save them all, Control S, while they're all highlighted, okay? So now what I can do is as follows. What I want to do is go back to the content directory. And we're going to go to the third person folder. This is a quick and dirty way of creating a brand new character. So we're going to go to the third person character, blueprints, BP underscore third person character, and I'm going to copy that. Control C or Command C. Now I'm going to go into my zombie folder, okay, and get inside there, and I'm going to paste that, excuse me, I'm going to Command V or Control V that, paste that right into there, okay. I'm also going to right click and choose rename, or you can hit F2 if you want, and I'm going to call this BP underscore zombie. BP underscore zombie is good enough for me. I might have said zombie 001 because maybe we're going to have lots of other zombies here, okay? And now what we have to do is retarget the animation blueprint from our main character. We don't have to make one from scratch. This is a much easier way to go. So let's go to our third person, not third person, beg your pardon, content. The animation blueprint for it is in here under characters, mannequins, probably under animations, yeah, ABP underscore Manny. Let's actually retarget all of the animations that this uses first to our zombie mesh so that when we retarget this animation blueprint, it's not going to be lacking those compatible animations. And this already has an IK rig, so we don't have to make a brand new IK rig for this. So we're in mannequins animations. We'll go into Manny right here. And we will take, this is a blend space, okay, so we can't retarget those. But what we can do is go, let me see, rigs. Okay, so we're going to use the RTG. This is an IK retargeter. This comes with the engine, okay, so for Manny, we've got that already. And we'll just open that up, and we're going to change our target. Our target is going to be our IK zombie, okay? And again, we can auto map chains. This one I will do fuzzy because I know for a fact that it's two different skeletons. And we should probably preview some of the basic animation sequences here just to make sure that things are translating the way that we want. So let's type walk in the search. And male mannequin walk forward. We'll see how that looks. How about run? Male mannequin run forward. These look good. Let's look at jump. Yeah, those are translating just about exactly right. And let's see, loop. Yeah, we don't need those. Okay. So yeah, this is looking good. And let's see, all the ones that start, let's see, these are they pre-filtered? Animation sequences, yeah. So I can select them all. I'm pretty convinced that they're all going to work. Select them all, and we're going to export them. And where do we want these now? We want them in zombie, animations, retargeted. Now we have from zombie mocap there, but we're also going to click on retargeted, add another new folder, and type from Manny. Okay. Export. What this is going to ensure is that when we retarget the animation blueprint from Manny onto that zombie, that it's not going to be missing any of the animations that are in that blueprint's state machine. This is obviously way more than we need, but still, this is good practice. I suppose I could have just examined the anim graph in that animation blueprint and only exported those animations, but I like having the option for whatever I might decide I want to use instead. Okay, so let that finish what it's doing, and then Control S, Control S should save them all. Why is it not? Let's select all, Control S, there they go. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to retarget the anim blueprint so that our zombie character, it has a character blueprint, but it does not have an animation blueprint. Although I made a folder for that, you'll recall it's empty, and that's where I'm going to put it. So let's go back to our content directory now, and we're going to go to characters, mannequins, animations, and here is ABP_Manny. Now that I have retargeted all those animations, I should be able to right-click on that and just select Retarget Animation Assets, duplicate and retarget animation assets / blueprints. So we'll go ahead and do that. The source skeletal mesh, the IK retargeter, is going to be, let's see, it's going to be UE5 to UE4. Or let's see, yeah, it's going to have to be, because we didn't make a dedicated one, but this one makes sense because I know that the Manny character uses the UE5 skeleton, and I know that the zombie character uses the UE4 skeleton. So we want to make sure that we use the right one. This one, it's possible that it would work, but I think that it's smartest for us to try this one first. Okay, so we've got Manny. And let's do, I just want to check something. No, okay, it doesn't require that. So let's go zombie, we'll search for it, SK zombie, okay? And what's going to happen is that this entire animation blueprint is going to be retargeted to this, and it's also going to bring along with it any animations that are referenced within the blueprint. But they've already been retargeted, so there's not going to be any incompatibility. So let's go ahead and retarget that. They're going to end up just in the least convenient place. They're going to end up right here in our root content directory. So might as well do this now. While they're highlighted, I'll save them. And I want to move them as a group into the zombie folder. So we'll grab them together, release and say move here. Now we have to get into that directory and do it a couple more times to get them to where we want them to be. Or we can use our, whatever this panel is called, I always forget, but we can go retargeted from Manny. I see where they're supposed to go, so I can just highlight these and drag them there. Move here. Could not be renamed. Okay, do they need to be renamed? Oh, let me try it the old-fashioned way. Move here. Okay, there they are. Move them into here. And then from here, that, okay. I see why, because we already brought all of those animations were already retargeted anyway. So some of it's honestly a little bit redundant. So let's go and find out what happened to that animation blueprint. Zombie, animations, retargeted. Let's see. ABP. These are just the animation sequences. Where's the actual animation blueprint? From Manny. ABP Manny right here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to rename this. And as a matter of fact, I want to move it out of this folder. So let's put it here in AnimBP. So it's all by itself. These are just the animation assets. But now this is all by itself in here. Obviously, we're not going to use this with the Manny character. We're going to use it with the zombie. So let's start by renaming this ABP_zombie. And now we have an animation blueprint for the zombie, which we can open up. Okay. Now this is going to have an anim graph, and what we should do, as I've said before, is disconnect the control rig, Don't delete it, but just disconnect it, move it out of the way. And we already have the default slot, so we don't have to add it ourselves, which is good. And we'll save it that way. Now we've got our couple of state machines here, and the locomotion state machine still should have the animations that were common to the what am I trying to say? Common to Manny. So like if, for example, this guy is in the level, it's not going to be using the zombie animations, right? So let's go into, let's go back a level. Excuse me, my meeting controls are in the way. ABP zombie, anim graph, and I want to look at the locomotion state machine. So here is the idle animation. Notice that it's using the idle. So that's Manny's idle, okay? So leaving that docked, let's find an idle animation that we have retargeted that we like more, that we can put into the idle animation for this zombie. Not that there's anything that bad about this, but I would like it to idle more like a zombie, okay? So let's see, I lost my place, so we're gonna go to animations, retargeted, from zombie mocap. Oh, I thought we did that already. Animations, zombie animations, retargeted. From zombie, didn't we do this already? From zombie mocap? Let's see. Content. Let's see. Zombie 01, rigs, zombie mocap, IK zombie mocap, retarget to Manny. Let's save that and get this retargeter back up again. Asset browser. I don't know if I ever remembered to export the animations for this or not. So let's make sure that we've done so. Make sure that everything looks good. I think we checked these already. Filter this for animation sequences. I'll select them all. Control A. And we're going to export them, and that's going to go into zombie animations retargeted from zombie mocap. Export. Yeah, I guess I never did that. I thought I did. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's save them all. And let's try to find some sort of idle. Okay, so there's several idles. That one has a weird glitch every time it loops around, so I don't like that. Let me search in here. Idle. Okay. That one's not bad. Just want to make sure it gets to the end and doesn't glitch as it loops. That's not bad. What about this? What about this? A whole bunch of them. Zombie idle 2. Looks like he's doing some sort of dance. Okay, so let's go back to, I think, this one. Okay, I think this is better than Manny's idle. So I'm going to Command B or Control B that and navigate to that animation, okay? And I'm going to leave that highlighted, or actually no, what I'll do is here in the, I don't need that open anymore, but here in that state, okay, we're inside of the state machine for locomotion. I just connected this animation, disconnected it, and in favor of that, I don't need this open anymore, but it does need to be saved. So let's keep ourselves organized. Looked like Michael Jackson's Thriller there for a second. So I'll grab this animation that I want to use and just drag it up there and drop it into the graph, okay? And we're going to use this animation instead of this one. I don't need to delete that though, because I can always come back to that if I change my mind. But now I'm going to compile and save so that our zombie will be idling that way. Now let's go back to locomotion. there is a walk run. It looks like it's a blend space. Okay, now I can't just replace this with a single animation. I might have to make my own blend space, and now is actually a pretty good opportunity for me to show you how to do that. So let's go back here, and we're going to make a blend space that we might even be able to borrow one. Let's see, animations. Let's see if I have a blend space already here. Animation sequence. No, I only retarget. I didn't make any blend spaces. So what we can do is we can make an animation blend space. Animation. Let me see. Animation. Blend space 1D. That's what we want. Okay, pick a skeleton. Let's see, I want this to be my game zombie mesh skeleton. Okay, so if I open that up, what we're going to do is we're going to have to specify, okay, for its speeds here. Oops, my monitor turned off again. Give me 1 second. We have to specify that the horizontal axis is going to be speed, okay, or velocity, I suppose. Let's see, horizontal axis, velocity, okay? And our walk speed right now, if I hold down Control, I can manipulate this little cursor here. And what we're going to do is we're going to place our animations up to whatever its max speed is, but we haven't really set its max walk speed. We have to go back to its character blueprint first to do that. So here in Zombie, let's go to Content, Zombie. Where did I put that character blueprint? It's not in here. Third person, zombie. I know I duplicated it. Is it in mesh? No. Zombie. Is it in rigs? No. Where did I put it? Animations? Couldn't be. That's an animation blueprint. We copied and pasted it. So what I'll do is I'm going to search for character blueprints. Let's see if I can filter for that. Character blueprint class BP underscore zombie. Let's Control B that and find out where it is. Yeah, I have it mixed in the wrong places. So where I really want that is just the root directory of the zombie folder. I don't know how I accidentally moved it in with the animations, so I confused myself there. Here's our zombie, BP zombie. Just make sure that that is the only one. Blueprint, blueprint class. Okay, I think that's right. Okay, so let's open that up, and this is going to be an AI. So we don't need any of this stuff. We'll delete that. We're going to delete the follow camera. You can do this in the viewport if you wish. Delete the follow camera. Delete. And the camera boom. We don't need that either. We'll change out the mesh in just a moment. So we'll compile and save. But I want to go to the character movement component and just see what the max walk speed is. Max walk speed is 500, but we're going to make it, I think, slower because it walks slower. So we might have to return to that, but for now I know that it maxes out at 500. Let's go back to this blend space, and we will say that our horizontal axis is, we're just going to call it speed, and it's really reading the velocity. Minimum axis value, and we'll say that the maximum for now is 500, and we'll just see what this is going to look like when it's running at 500. I don't think it's going to look good, but we'll find out. So what we'll do is we'll get, we'll start with our idle, okay? Whichever idle we used, I don't remember which one it was, unfortunately. I should probably check. It is, let's go back to the anim graph, locomotion, idle. It's this, Control B, we'll browse to it. Oh no, that's the whole blueprint. I want just that animation. This. Can I find it? Zombie idle 1. Can I Control B that? Nope. Animations. Zombie idle 1. Was one of these two. Let's see. Full, okay. V2 full A IPC demo. Yeah, that is the one. Okay. So now that I've got that, I can go into my blend space and find that right here. Now I'm going to drag that in, and I'm going to place it right, I'm going to place that frame right at the beginning, okay? So he's idling. And then it's going to translate into a walk animation, and I don't think we've really chosen a walk animation yet. So let's find one that we like. I'll just type walk, zombie walk. See, that's not going to look good at 500. And I don't see any like run animations for the zombie. That's a knockback, walk. So I might have to use like a different running animation, possibly. Walk. This is the full loop. Okay, so we'll Control B to get to that animation, and I'm going to drag it back up into my into my animation blueprint. Drag it way up into there, hover, and oh no, into my blend space. I beg your pardon. So where's my blend space? Did I close my blend space? Hang on. So I know I want that. And I could swear I had that blend space open. Guess not. Okay, so zombie animations. It's not in there. Animations. Wait a minute. This is the animation blueprint that I wanted. Hold on a second. Okay, no, that's working. That's correct. Output animation pose. We fixed that. And now we're going to go back into our walk run. We're going to disconnect this blend space. Okay, this is a parameter that drives it, or a variable that drives it. And we're going to replace that with whatever blend space we make. So let's go back and go to animations, retargeted, and I could swear that I made a blend space right there. Okay, I guess, yeah, like that. Okay, now which animation did we decide we liked? So we're going to go to blend space. It was that walk full, I think. One of these. Yeah, for some reason it's closing my blend space. I don't know why. That one looks okay. And that one looks okay. Okay, so these are a little hard to keep track of because it keeps on closing my blend space every time I try to do this. So there's the blend space. Open it up, and we're going to try to remember which one of these was good. It was Zombie Walk Full Loop, I think. Now I can put this anywhere that I want, okay, and I can always change it later. Now I'm going to search for a running animation, and I don't have a running zombie animation. I might get one from some other pack, but let's see if there's anything else that could be used, like Hyper Chase, something like that. That looks sort of like running to me. Let's get the full name because I want to make sure, yeah, that it says loop. Okay, that's probably the safest one to use, and I'll put that all the way here at the end. Okay, now to preview this transition, let me get my meeting controls out of the way. I can frame this up, and I can see what it will look like by holding down the control. So he's idling, and then as I move this forward, he starts to speed up. And then as he reaches full speed, eventually he's just hysterically running after me, okay? So I might tweak certain things about this, like, you know, maybe where do I want this to be? Maybe I want it to start speeding up sooner. Okay. So I think that this is going to be a pretty workable blend space. Let me just make sure that that running animation loops in a good way. And it seems like it does. Okay. So let's save this blend space because that can be what we place. We don't want that. What we can place here instead of the original blend space. So I'll take that and I'll hover, and that's going to just get dropped into the graph, and we'll hook it up the same way that this original one was. Okay, so we'll compile and save that. Okay, let's look at the anim graph again and see what else is in there. There are main states. I don't think we necessarily have to change anything about the jumping or falling. Okay, and the locomotion has been cached, so I think that we're all good for the animation blueprint for this zombie. We could probably test this out right now just by changing our default player character into that zombie. Let's give that a shot and see if that works, just out of curiosity. Blueprints, here's our player character. Okay, I'm going to leave everything just as it is. Go to the viewport and change out the mesh. Okay, and our mesh is going to be our disgusting zombie. And it's not going to work until we select the appropriate anim blueprint. And we did make one, ABP zombie. Okay, compile and save. And now when we play, we should spawn in as this zombie. It's working, except that I think that it is reaching its maximum speed too quickly. Or I think it's starting out at its maximum speed, and that's the problem. All right, so what we could do, well, what we probably will do in the blueprint that we make for this, the character blueprint, is we will control its speed so that it's not, you know, it's doing right now the same thing that Manny would have done. When we press play, that same blend space exists for Manny, but it starts off at full speed. So there are programmatic ways that we can control how fast it's moving. Okay, so we'll get out of that and let's go back into our player character and just reset everything back to the way that it originally was. So we'll just hit undo enough times. Right? No, maybe that's not working. So mesh, we'll set our mesh back to, I guess, Manny. And we'll use our Manny blueprint, compile and save. I just hit undo a whole bunch of times. I hope I didn't undo anything important. So let's, why am I stuck? Oh, that wasn't docked. Okay. So let's make sure that we're spawning in correctly. And it looks like we are. Okay, so far so good. So let's now go back to our zombie character. And this is not the animation blueprint, but the character blueprint that we made for it. It's going to open up looking funny, so click here where it says Open Full Blueprint Editor. Okay, we already deleted out all the unnecessary stuff and the camera boom. So it's here in the zombie blueprint that I want to do what I just basically did in the main character blueprint. We're going to switch out the mesh first, get our zombie, okay, and we will, let's see, we're going to change out the anim blueprint for the zombie blueprint that we made, compile and save. And I'm going to go to the character movement component and type, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to do this programmatically. I'm changing my mind. We'll go to the event graph, and I'll make an event on begin play by holding down P and clicking. So we've got event begin play. And maybe the first thing that I'll do is I'll set the character movement. Okay, I'll get the character movement component, and we'll do set max walk speed. Okay. And I want to see, before I decide what that value is going to be, I want to check that blend space and see what looks the best. So let's go back into animations. That was never saved. Retargeted. Where's that blend space? Did I put it in here? There it is right there. So if I want this to be at some default speed, then I want to preview by holding Control what would be a good speed for it to start out at. Like maybe 333. Okay, that looks pretty good. So what we'll do is we'll set our max walk speed to 333. Compile and save. Okay, now let's do this. Let's start our roaming logic. So I'll make a custom event, add custom event called roam, and that is going to just consist of an AI move to. Actually, I like to put the delay up front. So let's do the delay first. Actually, I'm changing my mind. I think it worked better last night when we did it at the end. So let's do AI move to, and make sure that you don't just quickly hit enter, because it usually selects this one when this is the node we actually need. Okay, so AI move to. This needs a reference to itself. So from pawn, type self. Like that. And for destination, we're going to pull off there random reachable, get random reachable point in radius. That's the node we need. The origin has to be get actor location. Like so. The radius, maybe about 2,500. You can experiment with that up to 3,000 or 4,000, I guess. I probably wouldn't exceed 3,000 though for this. Let's see. And this is just going to go to a random reachable point in the radius. So let's compile and save. And what we'll do is on success is we will delay. And I don't want it to be a fixed delay, so I'll do something random. Random float. Oops. Random float in range. Okay, because that's a float value. So yesterday I did between 1 second and 2.5 seconds. And then when this is finished, I can just call roam again. Okay, so that it will continue doing this. So let's just make this look a little nicer, and we will comment out this portion of the code. See? And I can name it either right there or right up here. Okay, so we'll call this roaming, roaming logic, and that's commented. All right, compile and save. So now before I can get this character to actually roam around, I mean, I can put it in the level. It looks like, now that I'm looking more closely, that its feet are a little bit up off the ground. So I'm going to edit that in the viewport just by lowering the mesh a little bit. So I'm going to turn off snapping, I guess, and use the selection tool and just zoom in, I guess, way down here. They don't look like they're too high, but I'm just going to bring them down a little bit. Compile and save and see if that fixes the problem. Not quite. So we'll go a little bit more. Or maybe he's just not in the capsule. That could be the problem too. Let me see. Yeah, he's also maybe I should increase the capsule size a little bit. Capsule half height, we'll just increase that. And then we'll get our mesh and pull it down like that. Compile and save. Let's go back to our level and back out of that a little bit. My camera speed is real fast, so let's slow that down a little bit. And I'll raise it up and hit end. And yeah, the capsule is on the ground, but his feet are not on the ground. So this is just a little bit of tweaking that we have to do for that. Compile and save. I don't want that. I want this. Okay, that's looking better. But obviously the zombie is not patrolling, okay? So what we'll do is make our nav mesh bounds volume, okay? So I'm going to zoom up here so I can see it pretty clearly. And I'm going to search for nav mesh, NAV, and nav mesh bounds volume is right there. Grab it, place it roughly in the middle of the level, and now we're going to scale it so that it covers everything vertically and horizontally that we want this zombie to be able to go. A little bit more on that axis. Get this out here. And now I've got to look at this from the side. To make sure that it is tall enough on the z-axis. And then just to make sure that this zombie can get anywhere, I'm going to press P and look at the shaded areas. Okay, so those are all the things that the zombie can access. All right, so let's do a save all. And let's go into play and make sure that the zombie starts patrolling. Zombie. Oh, zombie. Why are you not patrolling? Let's find out. Okay, event graph. Event begin play. Okay, here is why. All right, I made a custom event, right? But I never called the custom event, okay? And I have to call it. So right there is where I can call it roam. Okay, that should have struck me right in the face. Never called the function, Ben. So yeah. So now, that is very weird. Okay, hang on. Let's get rid of this set walk speed for a second and see if that's disrupting the animation blueprint or if I did something wrong in the animation blueprint. Okay, I might have overlooked part of something in the animation blueprint that I made for our zombie character. So let's find out. First of all, did I assign the correct animation blueprint, ABP? So let's find that. Get back into there and go back into our anim graph. Let's look at main states first. Locomotion, that's been cached. So in the anim graph, we're going to look for locomotion state machine. Idle, and then walk run was a blend space. Oh, we never plugged it in. Okay, so let's get our blend space. You see, that's why that happened. Okay, because I never put the blend space into there. So as long as that tab stays open, let's find this blend space. Zombie animations. Put it in here, I think. There's the blend space. Put that up in there. It's got the same condition. That was just never hooked up. I rushed past it. Okay. So now I should be able to go back into the zombie character blueprint and still do what I did before. Set the walk speed first and then call the roam function, and now it should be using that blend space for its locomotion. It is, but it looks like the speed might be too fast. Yeah, so let's slow the speed way down for that. In here, let's set this to maybe like 100 and see if that feels better. Still too fast. Let's set that to maybe 50. It's just a matter of iterating this and checking to see what actually feels right. Okay, that's idling. So I might have to edit the blend space a little bit. Okay, so let's go back into that and simulate this. And you know what? It's missing a walk animation in the very blend space itself. So I don't know how that happened either. But in any case, let's go zombie walk loop, and we'll put that right around there. At speed 249. So let's see how that looks. That looks pretty good. Okay, so let's save that. Boy, I guess I just blasted through things that I thought that I already did. So we'll go back into the character blueprint and set it to, I think I said 249. Compile and save. And let's see how it's performing now. Okay, at least it's playing the right animation. All right, let's edit that blend space a little bit more. Okay, so this is, oh, wait, no, here is the walk. We did have the walk. And let's get rid of that key right there. And let's set that to something low, like 30. And then re-edit the character's speed to 30. We'll have to continue messing with this until it's just right. That looks pretty okay. I can still see some sliding, almost like he's ice skating. So I think maybe we have to slow him down just a little bit more. So we'll go back to, oh, my screen went to sleep again. Bear with me. It just takes a second. And also apologies for my frame rate because I have a screen recorder running at the same time. So I'm going to go and just set that to, yeah, just going to lower that just so we get a better frame rate happening. And we're going to go back to editing the zombie and slow it down a little bit more. Try 22. That's just a guess, but we'll see how it feels. Okay, so that's worse. So I think I went in the wrong direction. So let's try 35. Compile and save. Play. It's a matter of just getting this exactly right. You see he's scooting. So that's obviously not the right value. Let's try 30 again and try to get a handle on what looks the best. I keep on forgetting that we get this miniaturized simulation unless I'm in the right tab. So let's go into play. So my interpretation is that he's moving on the forward axis faster than it looks like he should be, right? Faster than it looks like he should be because he's scooting as he takes each step. So it feels to me like we need to slow him down. So that walk is at 30. Let's try it at 25. Save it in the blend space. We might have to just experiment with this a lot and see. So we'll set that to, I think I said 25. Compile and save. Should be move. Oops, keep doing that. I did it again. Play. Yeah, it's a little bit better. I'm not going to worry about it too much right now, but it obviously could use a little bit more messing with. And he's going to be really, really slow. But what we can do is we can set his max walk speed in our chasing logic to like once we have it see us. One of the first things we can do is another node like this, and when we set its max walk speed back to whatever we decided its max walk speed was going to be in its character movement component. Let's remind ourselves, max walk. Yeah, let's slow that down to 400. And let's also update the blend space so that this value is not 500. Okay, so that'll be 400. And invalid because it's out of bounds. Dismiss, hold on, undo. So let me just pull this back for a second before I do that. 400. Out of bounds, dismiss, and maybe I just have to put a new one in there, or I'll just set this to 400. It's never going to exceed that anyway, and if I set that to 400 now, I shouldn't get that 400, or if I go 401, let's say, it won't be out of bounds. Okay. Control. Okay. Save. Play. Okay. So now let's set up the chase logic, and we're going to go back into our edit BP zombie, and we're going to do another custom event called chase. Chase. And remember, this is going to be from pawn sensing, so we have to add that component. add a pawn sensing component. And in the details panel, I've got something searched for here. I've got to clear that out. Okay, so pawn sensing, we're going to go to events on cpawn. Okay, and that is going to be I think we're going to do set max walk speed here off of the character movement component. That's going to have to be attached right here. And we'll set that to 400. Okay. And let's see. The pawn, we're going to do AI move to. I thought we did this as two custom events, but we'll see. So we've set the max. Oh, wrong node. Right click, AI move to. We want this one. I made the same mistake that I warned you against before. The pawn that we're moving to is the one that has been seen, so we can do that. I also could have done a cast and gotten a reference specifically to our BP third person character. But in this case, we only have one pawn, so this is super easy. Okay, so it's going to, when it sees us, it's going to start running, and it's going to go into that part of its, this is actually wrong, excuse me. What this should be connected to is target actor. The pawn should be self. And yeah, that's what it, oops, that's the wrong node. Pawn, self, get a reference to self. Let's turn off context, or turn on context sensitivity, get a reference to self. That's what we need there. And it wasn't chase, that wasn't the custom event. It was, I think it was attack. So let's make a custom event called attack. And we'll figure out, we'll make an animation montage out of something, and we'll call that on success. So let's do an acceptance radius of about 25, I'm thinking. And let's adjust the pawn sensing in the viewport. And zoom out a little bit here, and I just want to adjust the peripheral vision down a little bit so he's a little bit easier to evade. And remember that the default sensing interval is 0.5. So compile and save. Let's go back to the event graph, okay? And remember that what we really should do is give this a way to lose interest. So here we'll do a sequence. And that will enable all this stuff to continue happening. But what we can do is on then one, do a retriggerable delay and set that to a value greater than 0.5, greater than the sensing interval. So I'll set mine to 1 second in this case. And then after that, what we can do is just call our roam function. We should be able to do that. I might have to do a stop anim montage here once we get the attack working, okay? But let's see what will happen right now if we spawn into the level, walk in front of the character, and when it sees us, will it start chasing us? Yeah. So that looks really good. But once he gets to us, he doesn't know what to do, okay? So we need to now make an animation montage out of one of the attacks, okay? So here we are in the zombie directory. Here's our animations folder, and all the animations that we retargeted are in this from zombie mocap folder, okay? So here's an attack loop, for example, and let's just look at that. Not so great. hyper attack. I think we like those. Hyper attack. That's really fast. Hyper attack. I think I like 3A. Hyper attack 3A. Can I control B that? Yeah. So I'm going to right click that and make an animation montage. So we're going to create an anim montage. I don't need to rename it. It's fine with the default name. It has the same name, only it's a montage. Okay, so go back here and attack. That custom event is going to simply be disable movement. Actually, I probably don't even have to do that. Let me just try to just play the montage. Play anim montage. That one. Okay. My meeting controls are sitting right there, so I've got to move them out of the way. So here's my attack. Play anim montage. It should be the only one in there. Okay. Move this up a little bit. And yeah. So on success, okay, so this is just the attack. Comment that out. And on success here, I'll call, let's make sure this is when he starts running after me and when he reaches me with a 25 unit acceptance radius. On success, we're going to call attack. Okay? And if it loses interest in us, what we can do here, and this is what suddenly started working yesterday, and I know that I tried it in class more than once. I believe that I did. But just in case I didn't, I'm going to try it now. Well, actually, before we do that, let's just make sure that it starts to attack us when it gets close to us. Okay, so it's chasing, and now it's attacking. Okay? And now, if I go and try to hide from it, as soon as I've hidden from it for more than 1 second. Oh, hold on. Yeah, we're having the same problem that we had yesterday that spontaneously fixed itself. So let's figure out what we want to do here. I'm going to do a stop anim montage. And that is going to be that one. And let's see if that fixes it. And remember, last time I delayed that as well. So in my attack, okay, so stop anim montage and retriggerable delay, stop anim montage. I wonder if I need to put a delay here. I don't think so. Anim montage is just going to start playing. This is not identical to the logic we did before. Attack. And what I might need to do, now that I think about it, I might need to put a delay here that's equivalent to this float value. But we'll see if it just stops. Compile and save. Play. It's patrolling. Now it sees me. Now it attacks. Now I escape. Now it's chasing me again. And by the way, it's a good sign that it stopped attacking. Right? It's no longer attacking. Now it's behaving like it's supposed to, but I think it saw me because it started running again. Saw me briefly. Okay, now it definitely sees me. Now it's definitely attacking. And now I can evade. Might be stuck in that mode until I evade it for at least a second. It's got to be out of his line of sight. Okay, now if I spy on him, I don't know if he still sees me or not. 1. Should be back to patrolling. Yep, Okay, so come get me. Oh, did you lose sight of me? Because he turned around for some reason. Come on, see me, chase me. There we go. Come to me, attack me. Oh, he's scratching my back. That feels terrific. Okay, and what I might do is, to control that better, is after, like before stop and in montage, what I think I'm going to do is disable movement. Just thinking this through on the spot here. Stop movement immediately from the same character movement component. Okay, move this down here. And before I do roam, what I can do is I can set movement mode. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Set movement mode. Again, that's off the character movement component, which I already have, so I can triple dip from over here. Hopefully you can see that's going to all three places. This wants a character object reference, but it knows it itself, so I don't need to put anything there. And that should be set back to walking. And when I call the roam function, that should reset its speed, right? No, I should therefore include this in the roam function and not after begin play. So this really makes more sense to have here. Okay, compile and save. Just put this somewhere like there. And let's see if we've made an improvement. Okay, so he's slowly, it's just that walking animation is so slow, it's hard to find the right speed for it. So he'll see us and he'll chase us. He should attack me. And if I hide from him, he should still be chasing me. But if I get out of his line of sight for long enough, 1 second, he should be back to roaming, which he is. And now he's chasing, and now he's attacking. And I would like for, yeah, so this is working great. As soon as I get out of his sight for more than a second, he stops chasing and he stops attacking and he returns to roam. So remember, I also can evade his awareness just by not necessarily only hiding behind objects, but also maybe like getting out of his field of vision. We changed his peripheral vision, you'll recall. Let me see if I can spy on him. So you see he's not stuck in that state anymore. He's back to patrolling. Okay, so everything that we tried to get working yesterday that for some reason didn't work. I don't like that. Okay, we're going to have to fix that scooting while he's attacking. I think that what we'll do for the attack to control that is if I go to the attack logic, what we can do here is we can, let me just make more room for it. We can disable movement. Oops, spelled it wrong. Disable movement. Stop movement immediately. And again, we've got the character movement component in there twice. We really only need it once. And we can double dip on that. And at least it should stay in one place and not scoot along after us while it's attacking. So let's go ahead and play one more time. So he's attacking us, but if I run away, yeah, he'll just stand there until he loses interest. That's much better than having it scoot along after us while it attempts to continue attacking. So attack, 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 attack. Now I've evaded his awareness. He's not scooting, and he just goes right back into his patrolling state. Okay? So I don't really mind that at all. Okay? That is working just fine. And what we can do is, obviously there's going to be like hit reactions and collisions, and we'll make it so that my character can fight back. We'll retarget somebody else as the main character as well to make this more interesting, and include sound effects and also particle effects, such as blood splattering every time he hits me. We'll even do progress bars or health bars for both characters. Okay? So this is working great. No more scooting. And as soon as he loses interest, he goes right back into patrolling. Okay, so let's now look at this fully working blueprint. Okay, we've got our blueprint for the zombie that we just made. Let's see, this is basically going to be commented as chase and attack. That's fine with me. Makes sense. Even though I do have one that's just the attack custom event. Maybe I should include that. Attack custom event. Just so that another person can understand this. And I'll say chase and attack implementation in this blueprint. Okay? So therefore, what do we now have? All right, let's review this. On event begin play, I'm calling my roam function. What does the roam function consist of? It starts with a custom event, and I use the character movement component, pulled off of that, and use the node set max walk speed. This is still not perfect, okay? We're probably going to have to fiddle with that until we get just the right number so that it looks like the character is moving at a pace that is consistent with its footsteps, and I don't think we've got that exact speed yet, but it's going to be something close to this, okay, depending on how we prepared our blend space. And then after that, we've got AI move to, and remember when you are searching for that node that you oftentimes don't get the right one. So AI move to usually gets this node first, but this is the one that I'm using, this AI move to. You have, because pawn does not say self in parentheses, we have to give it a reference to itself. You do that just by pulling off and typing self, okay? So like this, self. Get a reference to self. I don't need to do that again because that's what gives me this. Okay, so that populates that pin. We're roaming here. Okay, so what I have to do is I'm using get random reachable point in radius as my destination, and this is the radius around the character that it can roam from wherever it happens to be. This is not like from the world origin. This is from the character wherever it happens to be. So that's its sort of like range for roaming around itself, wherever it goes. And it needs its origin. So we've got get actor location as its origin. Remember, we're in the zombie blueprint. And then we do a AI move to, and it will go there, and it will on success when it reaches its destination, which, by the way, will take forever if it's moving at only this speed. So we might want to reconsider exactly what animations we use for our zombie walk. Maybe something that can be faster. I don't know. Something to consider anyway. But in any case, on success, it's going to delay for the duration, a random duration, between, in my case, 1 second and 2.5 seconds, and then it calls the roam function again so that it can continue doing that until something else causes it to do something else. Now, I knew that the something else was going to be on pawn sensing when it sees me. That's why we added the pawn sensing component, and I used the viewport to set the sight radius and the peripheral vision angle and all that stuff. Let's compile that again, go back to the event graph. I made a custom event for it to play this anim montage, and subsequently we discovered that even after I evaded its awareness using this retriggerable delay, it would still scoot as it was chasing me while still playing that anim montage. So what I had to do is to disable its movement and use stop movement immediately off the character movement component before having it play the montage. That's going to lock it into position while it is playing that montage, so it doesn't scoot. Okay, so it can't continue to chase me and attack me at the same time, because that just looks like scooting. And in this montage, there are no footsteps. It's just the arms, right? So now that I've got that, I've got my pawn sensing component, and I selected that. And at the bottom is where I implemented the event on C pawn, okay? And I made this sequence. So let's follow the then 0 first. I set the max walk speed to 400, okay? Because that is what I set it to in the character movement component. If you recall, I set the max walk speed to 400 so that we could definitely outrun the character if we need to. And I also changed the maximum horizontal variable in our blend space to 401, just so that our existing animation didn't go out of range and we didn't get that error like we were. So it starts running after us, and the blend space tells it to change. My screen went dark again. I'm sorry. Give me a second to let that come back. Okay. All right, so our blend space tells it to go into that hyper run or whatever animation that we chose when it is at a speed of 100. So the animation itself changes, and it starts moving faster. That did look good. I don't think we needed to adjust that at all. And from there, we're doing AI move to. Pawn needs to know that it's moving itself. And the target actor is the only other pawn, which is us. If there was more than one pawn, what I would have done after this is cast to BP underscore third person character, promoted that to a variable, and then used that variable, that reference, that hard object reference of the return value from the cast to be my target actor. Okay, but in this case, there's only one other pawn, and it's us, and that made it easier for us to just set that as the target actor. And if we wanted it to be some other character, we could have cast to that, or cast to a class. Okay, we could do that as well. So anyway, so there's that, and it moves to us and attacks us. And we want it to be able to lose interest in us. So off of then 1, we've got a retriggerable delay. And this is where we set how long we need to evade its awareness before it loses interest. And that value has to be greater than the pawn sensing interval, which is in here somewhere. Sensing interval defaults to 0.5. Okay, you could change this as well if you needed to, but it works well. And if you made that faster, it would just be harder on the system, like almost ticking practically. So to send a pulse out of the pawn sensing component every half a second, this just has to be greater than half a second. This could be 30 seconds if you wanted it to. I find 1 second works pretty well in this circumstance. And when it loses interest, I wanted it to stop the anim montage, but I found that it would not. So I had to disable its movement first using disable movement, stop movement immediately from the character movement component. Then I had to create a stop anim montage and populate that with the same montage that I'm playing up here. And remember, we only really made one montage, so that there was really not much to choose from. So it was easy to find. And then after that, I'm setting the movement mode, again off the character movement component. If that's not easy to see, we'll do a little reroute, okay? Like that. And that's our target, character movement component. I set the movement mode back to walking, and then I call roam. And by calling roam again, this is what happens. It resets the max walk speed back to 25, and it is going to obey our blend space because that's in our animation blueprint. And remember, if I go to our mesh, it is using that animation blueprint. And if I navigate to that animation blueprint and I look inside the anim graph, we've got our locomotion state machine. And idle, we use just the animation that we chose, our favorite one from the animation pack. And if I go back into the locomotion portion, that's just, into the walk-run portion, we just took this old blend space and we made our own. Okay, we remade our own blend space using idle at the very beginning, and we set walk at some speed, and then I think we set run at 400. And of course, you can play with the blend space values also, and you usually need to get everything working just exactly the way you'd want. If I were to hook this blend space back up, then it would no longer use the animations that were used in this blend space. It would use whatever was in this blend space, and I don't even recall if these animations were ever retargeted to this IK rig anyway. Otherwise, I would show it to you right now, but since everything's working, I don't want to end off on a bad note. So let's just have a little bit more fun and play in editor, Pi, maximize our screen, and rah, rah, rah. And we'll attach all the sound to it later. And the particles of blood spurting around. And again, my bad frame rate is just because I've got a screen recorder at the same time. So let's see if we can evade for more than 1 second. And it should be back into its roaming state, and I can see that it is. It's no longer flailing around. Now it chases me, and when it gets to the acceptance radius, it starts to attack. And if I evade its awareness for more than a second, 1, it should now be back to roaming, and it is. Okay? Until he sees me again, and of course now he's chasing me. Okay? So, with that said, let me leave you once again with our full blueprint so you can look at this. Event begin play roam. And I'll just go through this slowly so you can see everything. And I'll have you know, this was real time, done in one take. I didn't have to stop and start over. For some reason, I think that the same thing just wasn't working for some reason, or essentially the same thing wasn't working for some reason yesterday. And I don't know exactly why, but it did. You can even ask Max the next time you see him, because right after you all left the room, within 30 seconds or so, it started working. Certainly within a couple of minutes anyway, but it didn't take long. I just pressed play again, and suddenly we both said, oh, it's working now. That's exactly how it happened. So, but this is what we did, okay? The only other thing that I did, because I had that zombie loop that I made, the audio file, is I added an audio component. I don't have that zombie loop here, the audio file right now, but I could have made an audio component. And then for the sound, I could have selected that zombie growling cue, which was a loop that I made myself. and then I overrode the attenuation, and I just reduced the inner radius to 200, as I recall, and I set the fall off distance to something smaller than this. I don't remember. It might have been something like 1600 or something. You have to experiment with that in order to determine what feels right for you. And of course, if you wanted to experiment with the attenuation function, remember, sound in nature attenuates according to the inverse square law, but in reality, in video games, you can just try the different ones and see which one sounds best to you. I didn't change it. I just left it set to linear, and it sounded okay to me at the time. Okay? So since I don't have an audio file to include in this right now, the advantage of having this audio component and overriding the attenuation is that it will then travel along everywhere, wherever that character goes. So you don't have to use like a play sound at location or anything like that. It just becomes a component attached to the mesh. Okay, so it's parented by the mesh. So wherever the mesh goes, the audio goes. All right, but I'm going to delete that because I don't have an audio file for it right now. Save, and we were going to call that a day. So I hope that was very helpful to you, and I apologize for the chaos in class, but if you follow these steps, it should work for you just like it's worked here. Thank you for your time, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.